Hey guys, what's up? Mike Locke here. Thanks for tuning in to this video. In this video, I'm going to cover how to transition into becoming a UX designer. Okay, UX design encompasses interaction design, information architect, all these type of things, right? So how to transition into becoming a UX designer. I get this question asked a lot. I cover UI design. This is the visual aspect of UI design. I also cover UX design, but some people are still unsure about what exactly you have to learn, what exactly you have to do to start becoming a UX designer, or at what point do people call themselves a UX designer. Okay, this is very unclear to a lot of people. I get emails, people sending me links to courses that they find online, expensive courses, asking me, Mike, can you review these courses? Can you, point out which one I should take? And to be honest with you, a lot of these courses, I cover the same things in my course, but I just don't call my course specifically a UX design course. But I'm going to cover exactly the things that you need to learn and start, incorporating in your process to become a UX designer. All right. The thing is this: to become a UX designer, you have to understand the process, the methods, and the philosophy that is used in the UX design process. Once you understand that, you can start calling yourself, a UX designer, and then you have to follow this process in each and every project that you encounter. All right. So the difference is, like, from a general web designer, normally when they get a website or they have a project, let's say they're doing a website for the guy down the street. He owns a restaurant, and Mr. Dolan, his name, he asked you to design a website for him. Your thinking as a web designer is, man, I'm going to make this site look like $1 million. I'm thinking, what colors should I use? I'm going to get some pretty photos and whatnot. That's kind of like the approach that a web designer takes. A UX designer is a little bit different. When we approach a project, we approach it from the standpoint of, okay, who's the target audience? What are we going to build? What do we want the website to do? What do we want users to do when they interact with this website? Do we want them to make reservations? Do you want them to order food online? How do you want them to view your menu? Okay, those are the type of questions that UX designers ask. A web designer, a visual designer, is more so concerned about the visual appeal. Okay, so UX design is not concerned about the visual appeal from the get-go. They're more focused around the user. Okay, so the first step in becoming a UX designer is understanding the methods, philosophy, and changing the way you approach every project. Okay, just the way I explained it. Instead of thinking about visuals, start thinking about the user, how the user is going to intend to use this product, or how does the business owner or the product manager want, what are the requirements and what they want to accomplish with this website, okay, or this web app. That's the first thing. I'm going to go through some steps in the UX design process, and your job, I'm going to recommend a book also at the end. Your job is to take note, follow these steps, and start incorporating these steps into your process, okay? And once you learn these steps, you can start calling yourself a UX designer. As just, you're not going to have that much experience, but the more and more as weeks and months and years go by, you will gain much more experience as you start incorporating these steps into your process, okay? And so that's pretty much all it takes. You don't need a degree. You don't need all that other stuff. Just, follow this process that I'm about to go over, and that's how you kind of transition into becoming a UX designer. Okay, so here are the steps. First thing, the first step this is my process, and take note, and as I dive deep down into each of these steps, take each of these steps and go out there and Google and learn more about each of these steps. You can, find books and things on each of the steps that I'm going to cover. The first thing is, when you're approaching every project or whether it's a widget that you're working on, whether it's a large-scale website, whether it's a web app, the first thing that you want to do in the UX design process is understand the business requirements. Okay, that's key. Okay, a lot of you may know, if you take my web design course, we call this the kickoff meeting. Okay, I cover this in my web design training course. The kickoff meeting, or the first initial meeting that you have with every project, is understanding the business requirements of the project or of the goal that you're trying to accomplish. Okay, so you're going to be working with a client, you're going to be working with a product manager, a producer, a stakeholder. Someone's going to give you a project, and it's your job to ask them for business requirements. Okay, in corporations, a lot of times they may give you a 30-page PDF document called a BRD, a business requirement document, that is fleshed out with all these different requirements. Sometimes if you're working very lean and very agile, they may just give you some bullet points. You could be down 5 bullet points. Okay, we want the user to do this. For example, if you're building an automobile website, okay, five requirements might be when a user, or if you're working in an agile environment, as a user, I need to be able to view interior and exterior photos of an automobile. Okay, that's one requirement. A second requirement would be, as a user, I need to be able to change colors, on the car to see how the car looks in color red, blue, silver, etc. Okay, a third requirement could be, as a user, if at the point when I'm ready to make a purchase or request a price quote, I need to be able to click a button on the page to request a price quote on that vehicle. Okay, so that's a requirement. All right, now those are simple requirements. You can get very detailed in many different requirements, but that's just basic requirements 101. All right, so gathering requirements is very key, because you don't know what to design until you have these requirements. Okay, so take hours, take days to really flesh out these requirements before you start diving into the UX design process. Okay, so that's step 1, is the requirements. Step 2 is building personas. Okay, building personas. Personas is basically a snapshot of who the target audience is, and the purpose of a persona is for you and your team to kind of have a reference point on who you're designing for. Okay, so for example, you can have a persona. Her name is Sally. She's 55 years old. She's not that very tech savvy. She visits Facebook every now and then. She doesn't have the latest phone. She doesn't use her phone a lot when it comes to interacting with different apps. She's old school. She likes Windows products. She's familiar with Windows XP and that type of stuff. And she's been a nurse or an accountant all her life, and her salary is $65,000 to $85,000 a year, right? That's one persona. Another persona is Johnny. He's 19 years old. He's very tech savvy. He's on Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter all the time on his iPhone. When the new iPhone 6 or 7 or 8 comes out, he's in line. He's sleeping overnight, at the Apple store or the AT&T store to get the latest phone. That's another persona. Okay, so you have 2 different personas. Based on those personas, you can then clearly understand who you're designing for, and then base your ideas around those particular clients. Okay, so that's number 2, is building personas. The third step in the UX design process, in my opinion, is research. Okay, once you have and discover the requirements and the personas, your job is to do tons of research. And in this research phase is basically what you're doing, aside from gathering ideas in terms of the UI layout. You're going out there and looking at different competitors. You're going out there and looking at different websites that may be using or having certain interactions or certain designs or certain flows that you're thinking about. Okay, so if some of the requirements is choosing, like I mentioned, you need a photo gallery, or you need a solution that will allow the user to switch colors on the on the automobile. Your job is then to go out there on different apps or different websites that allows the same feature to kind of gather ideas. Okay, not that you're going to copy these ideas, but you want to learn from them, how these websites are doing these, how other users are using these, how the functionality works according to you and different users in your organization. So research is huge. Okay, so this is a key step in the UX design process. Without the research, you really can't flesh out and gather enough information to go ahead and do some really nice work. Now, you're going to be studying competitors. You're going to be gathering analytics to understand how users have been clicking on certain things. So the more research you can do, the better. Okay, so research is huge. All right, so once you've gathered the research, the next phase is prototyping, wireframing and prototyping. Okay, so I'm gonna, in this fourth step, I would say wireframing, prototyping, and user testing, early user testing. Okay, what does that mean is you're going to be doing wireframes based on initial layouts that you have in mind. Now, there's two phases of wireframing. There's a low fidelity wireframe, which is very low detail. Okay, it could be sketches on a paper. You can be sketching on a paper, cutting out different elements to that's considered low fidelity wireframes, all the way down up to high fidelity wireframes where you have more detail. And so with the detailed wireframes, what I like to do is you can do some prototyping. As I mentioned in Adobe Fireworks, you can easily prototype your wireframes in your different states up. And what you can do is do some early testing. Do some internal testing with people in your organization, have them sit at your desk, send them the link and watch them, observe how they click around, give them certain, tasks to complete. For example, let's say you're building a wireframe, you're working at home, you tell your dad, hey, or your mom or your girlfriend or your boyfriend that you want them to test out this wireframe that you're working with. And what you can do is sit them down in front of your chair and give them a list of tasks. Like say, hey dad, this is a website I'm building. It's an automobile website. Okay, your task is to you want to view the photos, the interior photos and exterior photos of this car. How do you do that? And you watch your dad actually interact with your wireframe. Now, if he can't find the button or the option to go and watch these photos, then you can list that down as a failure on your part. Okay, you now may ask your dad, okay, go ahead and request a price quote. Okay, how do you do that? If your dad can click on that button that says request a quote, or that call to action button, and he can fill out the form or whatnot, or attempt to fill out the form, then you know that you accomplished that very well. All right, so you can go through these steps with internal. What I do at my job is, because sometimes it's easier to just gather resources from internal employees first before we go out there and start gathering clients, because that's a long process. So I'll gather people from different departments in my organization and schedule some time with them and sit down, and we'll observe and go through a list of different tasks that we want them to perform, and then they'll do it. Okay, a lot of times it's people that haven't interacted with the designs that we have, and that's how we learn, get some early testing. And this is called lean UX. This is basically designing and doing some early testing as you're going through the design or the UX design process. All right, so that's the fourth step: wireframing, prototyping, and early user testing with your prototypes, okay, with your wireframes. All right, the fifth step is essentially, after that, is the UI design process. Okay, this is where you hand off some of the ideas that you have, the final screens, and you go through the UI design process. Now, in the UI design process, same thing. This is where you're going to be doing the visual design elements, but what you're going to be doing there also is prototyping the nice visual final pieces into prototypes and doing some additional testing. Okay, so you've done testing with the wireframes. Yeah, you can do some testing with the visuals, whether it's on a mobile app, mobile device, or a website or whatnot. Okay, now after the fifth step, after you do the visual UI designs and more prototyping and more user testing, the sixth step is basically monitoring. Okay, gathering feedback from clients, people that are using the system, gathering analytics, and making adjustments based on the client feedback. Okay, so continuously researching, gathering feedback from how clients are using the system. If you've gone through your steps, you're going to cover basically the basics, but there are going to be elements and things once the app is launched for you to continue to monitor, continue to analyze, continue to gather analytics, and continue to make adjustments to the user experience on future releases. All right, so that's basically it. Now, those 6 steps that I've gone through, You can definitely dive deeper into them, spending weeks and hours on each one of those to kind of observe what actually goes on. It's your job to kind of take these steps and you know, start diving deeper into them. Start going out there, researching more blogs, more articles that can give you more information on each of these elements. There's a book. It's called UX Design Smash. It's a smashing UX design book. I don't have this book, but I went out and observed the contents in the book. It's a very good book for people who are just now getting started in UX design. It has a lot of detail, or in terms of, like, you know, what is UX design, what is user studies, what is, you know, building personas, and what is research, and all this type of stuff, right? So, and this book is, I think, around 25, 26 bucks. It's a lot cheaper than spending $4,000 or $12,000 to get a degree or a certificate in UX design. Now, here's the key. Learning this stuff, to become a UX designer, it's you taking these steps and start applying these steps into your projects, okay? So if you don't have real projects to work on, take these steps and do these steps through your personal projects, okay? So as you go through these steps, you know, you're doing wireframes, you're building requirements, you're doing sketching, you're building personas. Think about how you can collect all this stuff and apply this stuff to your portfolio. Okay, so what I mean by that is, somebody may look at your portfolio and say, can you show me some of your interaction design or UX design work? Okay, now your portfolio may be 100% the visual end result of the product, which mine is, but you may want to start showcasing more UX design work in your portfolio. So just think about taking pictures of your sketches, taking ideas, you know, snapshots of your wireframes, taking snapshots of the personas that you're building, you know, just basically documenting your process, okay? The more you can document in your process, the more you can show in your portfolio, from the process to the end result, the more you're now looking like and becoming, you know, UX designer, okay? And then recruiters and hiring managers will see this work. And again, you can start this stuff right now after this video, but that's only going to give you, you know, you can call yourself a UX designer, but you have like 5 minutes worth of experience, right? So you can start calling yourself a UX designer, but as you go on, you start building your experience and you start applying these processes to your projects, and that's where you become a UX designer. All right? That's it, guys. Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully these steps I've covered, go through the video again, take note, you know, and then dive deeper into each of these these elements and these processes. If you want to learn more about this process and how I put this into work, you know, and kind of like watching over my shoulder, you can check out my web design training course at mlwebcode.com. I go through each of these steps. I show you how to, you know, research and wireframe, and how I go to different elements and gather this stuff. And it's just a matter of putting this process into work, and you'll start considering, you know, becoming a UX designer. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, as always, visit my website, mlwebcode.com, and use the contact link and shoot me any questions that you may have. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so, and look out for more videos. Leave me a comment, like the video if you appreciate, and we'll be talking soon, guys. Peace.